Hi guys, welcome back to the Nintendo Arcade. I'm Alex, and this week I'm going to show you my Nintendo Sheriff arcade machine. This is a really cool machine. This has been my grail cab for many years, and there's many reasons why it's my grail cab. And the first reason is it's a game I played a lot as a kid, along with Space Invaders. I remember this quite fondly actually, and I think maybe it's because it was a unique game of its time. The fact that you could move around in any direction in this little sandbox, you know, you could move around the whole monitor playfield, which was quite rare back in those days. You know, Space Invaders, you could only move left and right across the bottom, whereas Sheriff, you could move all over the screen, which was really cool. But the main thing I remember was, you know, this kind of artwork. I remember this quite vividly actually. I don't remember anything else about the cabinet, but I remember this really vividly. But I don't believe I played it on a cabinet like this. I probably played it on a cabinet called a Bezel, which was a company that officially licensed Nintendo games, we believe. And the only slight difference was the Marquee and Bezel was separate, basically so it could fit into their cabinets. The artwork on the control panel looks exactly the same, and they use the same control mechanism. But the sides, the actual cabinet was completely different on the sides, so you didn't have all this lovely side art. But you know, when these machines are banked up against loads of others, you don't see that anyway. You know, which is a shame because you know a lot of these cabs have fantastic side art. So yeah, this game for me as a kid was just brilliant. I absolutely loved it, and I think it was because it had that kind of western cowboy theme about it. Which was really big in the 70s, you know, anything to do with space and cowboys, and it was just an immediate hit. I don't know what it was, maybe it was so much Champion the Wonder Horse we were watching, you know, we loved all that. It was absolutely brilliant. And the other thing about this game, for me as a collector now, you know, I didn't know this back in the day, but this was the game that Miyamoto worked on. In fact, it was one of his first games he ever worked on. He did a lot of the work on the sprites, he did a lot of work on the control panel, and he worked in conjunction with another artist who did all the Game & Watch series, all the little characters in the Game & Watch, and you can see that quite clearly on the artwork that goes around the skirting of the cabinet, with the little gangs, they're like little characters. It's very similar to the Game & Watch series. And Miyamoto's artwork, you know, you can tell it's his work because the hearts that are involved you can find on Popeye here, and it's just got loads of character about it, whereas a lot of games before this by Nintendo were really quite bland. You know, there wasn't a lot of artwork to it at all. So yeah, this game's really special, and for another reason, because of its unique control system, which is really bizarre. There's no other game like it. I've never seen a game like this where it's got two 8-way sticks, but one of them is like a switcher, looks like a gas knob, and it turns in 8 directions, which basically controls your arm movement, and the arm movement also controls your fire. But to fire you have to push the knob in, which is really weird. I've never seen anything like it, and a lot of my mates take the mickey out of me or out of the machine because it looks like a gas cooker, which it does. It's really bizarre, and it's a funny one because it's got a bit of a delay, and I've read somewhere that it was intentional, or because of the limitations of the hardware, with changing direction within the playing field, they had to put a slight delay in the movement, so from changing from left to right, it wouldn't feel so responsive as like Space Invaders. You'd have to allow for a little bit of a gap, which you can feel it. It's not only this joystick, which is naff, but actually you do feel it in the gameplay. But you know, you get used to it. You definitely get used to it. This joystick here is absolutely horrible, but again, you get used to it, and there's no way I would change it. Actually, it's original joystick. It's staying. And because I've got the cocktail version here, which have smaller joysticks, a bit similar, they feel a bit more like a Nintendo Versus stick, and they just feel a little bit more responsive, whereas this one here, God, it's like trying to fly an old biplane, you know, it takes ages to pull it up. So yeah, it's really cool. These buttons here you can find on all the cocktail machines, like Space Launcher uses the same button, Space Firebird, Space Fever, they all use these little coloured buttons. And if you look inside, on the other side of the control panel, the mechanism is very similar to a lot of the early cocktail machines. In fact, a lot of the innards are, you know, the power supply and all the kind of wiring and stuff is very similar to the cocktail machines that I have. The monitor inside is a big 20 Sanyo. I think it's an EZ, but it's a lot bigger than these ones, and it lays on its back inside the bottom of the cabinet, and the image is reflected out through the bezel by a half mirror, so it takes a lot of that style from Space Invaders. They do the same. So what you're looking at actually is a mirror reflection of the monitor, which is down there. You can just about see it, which is pretty cool because it gives that depth as well. It feels like you're looking at the game about 12 foot back, you know. It's really weird. And as a kid, that was really strange. These felt like magic boxes because we couldn't work it out, and because we were a lot smaller down here, we couldn't see the monitor down there. So all we could see was this image, but it felt further back. And we used to go behind the back of the cab to see how they were doing it. You know, it just didn't feel right. It was really weird. And this is all new technology that kids today don't understand. You know, they take video games for granted. Back then, these were the first examples of video games, and a sort of cross between electrical mechanical games and video games. It was that kind of era where they were just trying out new ideas. And I think arcade machines from the late 70s and early 80s are some of the best. You know, it's the classic era for me, the golden era. You know, and growing up as a kid in that era was really, really special. Anyway, enough of me banging on about it. Let's get straight to it, okay? Let's have a look at the cabinet from the side, right? Right, so what you're looking at now is a Marquee from a Bellfruit cabinet. Now, Nintendo basically let this company called Bellfruit distribute a lot of their games in the UK. Bellfruit mainly did fruit machines and jammer cabs, and basically Nintendo, they licensed it to Bellfruit, a lot of their games. So what I would have played Sheriff on was probably in a cabinet with this Marquee on, because the original Nintendo cabinets had the bezel or Marquee complete as one unit. This is a separate Marquee you're looking at here, which was for a licensed Bellfruit cabinet. And this is probably what I played on back in the day. Now, this is a game that I actually remember when I played it as a kid. This is why it's so special to me for many reasons, getting this game. I absolutely loved this game back in the day. So yeah, that's my Bellfruit Sheriff Marquee on the wall there. I never thought I'd ever find one of them. So looking round now, quick whiz round you all see it from the other end. This is the other end where I usually have the camera. And this is where my upright Sheriff is. Now I've got a small little games room, guys. It's only 12x8. It's tiny, but I've managed to squeeze all these games in here. The only games I don't have in here is Battle Shark and actually Space Fever's in the house. Everything else I own is in this room. So this is probably the first video you'll see of an upright Sheriff. Okay, as you can see, the artwork on the side is absolutely fantastic. It's given this kind of saloon bar effect to give it that kind of western feel, and there's hardly a mark on it, guys. It's just in immaculate condition. The only marks I can see are at the top of the cabinet here, and you know what, it adds to the kind of fantasy of its age. It's got these little nicks and crannies here at the top, but nothing really. The artwork is intact. Look at that. I mean, just look at that. It's just unbelievable. And it's, I don't know, it's not been stenciled on here. This is like, I don't know what you call it. It's plywood under here. I don't know how they get that effect on there. It's not, I don't know if it's screen printed on there. But it looks absolutely fantastic. And as you can see down here, this artwork here, According to Florent Georges, who wrote the book The History of Nintendo, this artwork here was by the guy who did all the artwork for the Game & Watch series. And when you look at it, you think, God, yeah, it is. These little characters look like Mr. Game & Watch. And there you've got Betty, being chased away by the gangs. And she's shouting help there. Now the American version of this game is called Bandido. So these would have been called Bandidos. They're like little Mexicans, I guess. But America never got this sheriff. They just got Bandido. But we don't know whether it was officially licensed to them. Nothing. There's no history of that. Of Nintendo officially licensing it to Exidy, which basically brought out Bandido. This is the official Nintendo cabinet. Now, I'm showing the side here because it is awkward to move these cabinets around. So once you've looked at the side here, we'll do the back and then we'll do the front with a little cut in between. And that's the Condor here. Beautiful design of a Condor, which is in the game. He's like a Space Invader that goes across the top, which you've got to shoot. And that's it. That's the side. It's a big cabinet. You know, it's the same sort of size, same height as Popeye, the rest of the American ones. Unfortunately, my cabinet hasn't got the wooden block bottom that goes right way around the bottom, because all these cabinets here are on 2 wheels, whereas this one's got 4 wheels. And I know for sure that it did have the block bottom like these have got. Can you see it's got the wooden bottom, where mine hasn't? It's just got 4 wheels. And I think I know why they've done it, because this cabinet weighs a ton. These Nintendo American cabinets are really light. In fact, they're probably the lightest cabs I've ever had to move, which is handy. But this Sheriff weighs a bloody ton. I think it's probably the monitor inside, the surround is all made of wood ply. There's a lot more ply. This is a lot thicker. And it's a lot wider. It's a wider cabinet. As you can see, it's absolutely huge. So yeah, that's the siding, guys. So I'm going to show you around the back now, okay? Alright guys, so around the back of the Sheriff now, straight onto the serial model number, and there you can see, if I focus in there, TWG up, and I think that's, I can't quite read that, I think it's 8G, not quite sure, my eyes are really bad nowadays. Serial number 1427. I don't know if that's an indication of how they're made. I would doubt it, because you'd think there'd be more in the world of these left, but because I know cabinets that were made in sort of 1,000, 2,000 sort of numbers, and there's still quite a lot of them left. I don't know. I'm clutching at straws. I really don't know. Nintendo are a hard company to get any information out of. They really are. So I don't know how many numbers of these they made. It might be the amount number of PCBs they made, but because I know of only 2 of these uprights in the world, I really doubt they made 1,500, but it's anybody's guess. So yeah, we've got the vent at the back here. Might give that a bit of a spray this year actually. It's looking a bit rusty. One thing I don't do is rust. It's only going to eat away at the stuff and you'll have nothing left eventually. I want to save this cabinet without changing it. I just want to save it and preserve it. That's the whole point of the hobby. So I don't know if you're in focus still, guys. I'm trying to get this better. There's the handles there that make it easy to pull around. Just get your grips in there and you can pull the cab around on 2 wheels, but this has got 4 wheels, so probably wouldn't use them. You can just push it around easy on the 4 wheels. So the only other cabinet Nintendo made, the only other game they made in this cabinet was Space Launcher. I've got Space Launcher on the cocktail here, but I've never ever seen an upright version of Space Launcher, and it would have been in the same shape cabinet as this. And if you look at the flyer online, it absolutely looks awesome. Some really cool space art going on. Another vent at the bottom. And on-off switch here, fuse there, and the power supply going in. Haven't done hardly anything with size, pretty much as I found it. Just going to undo the back here now and show you inside. It's a little bit unusual and a bit strange. I've seen some radar scopes innards before, and they look pretty similar too. I think they use the same monitor, same power supply and all the rest of it. A bit of a weird place to put a PCB, I've never seen that before, and it's some kind of makeshift aluminium bracket some guys made up to house it in. I would imagine it. I know this is an original bracket because all my other cocktails have these. It's made of sort of steel there. This is aluminium, so that's definitely not original. But at the moment it houses it quite well, holds it in place, so it's been left. This is a mirrored game, so the monitor is actually on the deck facing upwards. So what you're actually looking at when you're playing the game is a half mirror, which is behind the PCB here. You can't really see it. This is a Sanyo, an early Sanyo monitor. I think the Donkey Kong's a 19. This is a 20, slightly bigger. Or was it the other way around? I can't remember. But it is a Sanyo, and it's an earlier version of the ones that were in the Donkey Kong machine. And it's housed in this huge, great big wooden box. I guess that's where a lot of the weight is with this cabinet as well. There's a lot more ply. It's very thick. And because of this monitor here, in this box, wooden box, that's probably where most of the weight is. Again, I haven't really done much really in here. Obviously, I have had the PCB looked at and repaired, and also the power supply rebuilt, and that's all tickety-boo now. It goes well. And I've had it clean in here. I had it sprayed with anti-mould spray stuff, just to get rid of any of this sort of white efflorescence that was going on, like salt. But other than that, it's pretty clean. She's pretty good. And just preserving it really, guys. I'm not changing it at all, just trying to preserve it as much as I can as it is. So that's the back. Pretty unusual. And there you can see the TWG on the soundboard, TWG on the PCB, and that's a good sign. It's all original because we've got TWG on the actual serial plate there as well, so we know it's all original Sheriff parts. Right, let's go around the front. So this is the Marquee stroke bezel. It's all one complete unit, but unfortunately my part of the bezel here, or Marquee, is missing the red stripes, which would have been here. You can just make out a faint line. It would have been 3 of them. I think it's because red fades quickest out of all the colours. Probably a lot of sun damage there. It's been in the sun at some point. But other than that, all the colours are there. There's a little sheriff badge of Jack there. Blue sky and the condor, and then the stars and what would have been the stripes. It's a really cool cat. I don't know why they changed this design to Bandido. I'm dead sure this would have done so much better in the States if they'd kept this design and sold it to the Americans, because look, it's got the stars and stripes. It's an American cab. You know, how cool is that? You know, they would have loved this. I don't think Bandido's a great name. This is the cast. There's Mr. Jack. That's you. He's really cool. And it's funny, the earlier characters they called, like in Sky Skipper, was called Mr. U. Similarities there with the names. Betty, she's the damsel in distress you've got to rescue. Again, she's shown with no mouth, unless that bit there is her mouth. But to me that looks like a nose. Upturned nose. The gangs look like little dodgy Americans. And the Condor, which is the bonus mothership, if you like, very similar to Space Invaders. And they're all really cool portraits that Nintendo used later on in Donkey Kong in the 4 corners of the bezel there, as you can see. But they did drop that idea on the later Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3. They dropped that idea. I really like it. It shows the characters in each corner. But on the Sheriff, they showed it down the side of it. These are the only 2 games that done this with Nintendo. And then there's a picture of the gangs down the side. Another picture of Jack and his 6-gun shooter, and Betty. hanging out the hardware and gun store. Again, she's got no mouth for some strange reason. And there you can see the game in the back. Feels a lot deeper here. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's very deep. It looks a lot bigger, that monitor, than my other ones. It's very cool. And there you can see the gangs going around the outside. There's 16 of them, and there you, Jack, in the middle. You've got the whole area to move around in. Only one bullet on the screen at one time. And basically there's about 8 levels, but when you get to level 3 you get a bonus, a ×2, and then you get to level 8 you get another ×2, so you can rack up some big scores. There you can see the company name Nintendo. So it's not Nintendo of America, this is before Nintendo of America. So Donkey Kong, the game after this, would have had Nintendo of America down the bottom. So it's almost a different company, if you like. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And you've got like these little barricades there. The green one, the green barricade show the level you're on. And there's 8 of them all in all. Which is pretty cool. And then moving down to the control panel, which I'm actually working on. I've done a little bit of Bondo there, you can see. Because this had a lot of water damage, guys. Look, you see the tide mark here. Can you see that? So the water had got underneath here and pushed the perspex up, and dirt had got underneath there. And I guess kids or whoever was leaning on it pushed down underneath it. And if there was any dirt or grit under there, it basically used as a lever and snapped the perspex. So that's what's happened. And there's the unique gas knob I was talking about. Very unique control system. Never seen that before. And basically there you push down on it and that basically uses the fire. 1 and player 2 buttons. And there's the coin door, which I've had powder coated. Shot blasted and powder coated in the same colour as my cocktail machines, which it was that same colour, so that's all powder coated. That's never going to rust now. But I've just got to get my good friend Victor, who does a 10 Pence Arcade podcast. He is doing a lovely little engravement on the plate for me, which will go on there, which I'll do another video of once I've got it done. And there you can see inside, I've just put the service switch and the counter on top for now. While I'm doing all this work, inside you'll notice that the coin box is different than other Nintendo coin boxes. It's an L-shaped box. Obviously you weren't expecting as much money as Donkey Kong, because it's not very big at all, but it works. And it's all there, original. And you can just about see in the back there, that's the monitor there at the bottom of the cab. Now if I can just show you a little bit more of the artwork on the front. You've got these kind of like rivets on the wood panel in there, and a lovely little Nintendo logo, which is really, really nice. I love that. In fact, I don't know for sure, but it looks like that's the first time they ever did that on a Nintendo cab, and I don't think they ever did it again. They put the Nintendo emblem on there, which I really do like. I love that. I like that font. And then down the bottom you've got the little Game & Watch characters I was on about, the gangs chasing Betty, and she's shouting out for help, which is really cool. That's the sort of touches I really do like. And you wouldn't really notice that when you were playing, but to put that on a cab back then, I mean, it's just like everything back in the old days, isn't it? It's made so much better. But you know, you wouldn't do that now, would you? Because it just get kicked in. But I really do like that. So I'm going to pan out a little bit. Really, really cool. Lovely piece of artwork. And there's a speaker. Same size as all the other Nintendo speakers, but it doesn't have the slotted grills like the Nintendo of America ones. They've got 7 there. I think the early ones had 5, didn't they? This has just got like a metal grill behind it, protecting the speaker. That's all that's got. So there we are. That's the control panel there. Let me just pan round to what I've got here. Now this is absolutely amazing. This one here was on the original cab. This is the one that was damaged. You can see it's completely split. And there's some cigarette burn here, some heat marks, and a bit of the artwork's missing when I pulled that off. And I thought to myself, you know, what are the chances of me getting another one of these? Pretty slim. So I thought to myself, I'm going to have to get this vectorised and scanned and just have a repro done. But this is the good thing about the internet, guys. People cuss it, but you know, when I got this cab, I stuck it out on the forums, I stuck it out on Facebook, and lo and behold, a lovely gentleman from America said, you know what, I've got one of those. I said, what? I can't believe that. He said, yeah, I've got one. He said, I've been waiting for a sheriff cab to turn up for 10 years, and yours is the first one. And you know what? I'd rather it go to someone like you. I was like totally blown away. I could not believe it. So yeah, he sent me this NOS sheriff control panel, which I'm going to put on there once I've done the work to. I've got to do a little bit of work on there first. But yeah, look at that, guys, and look at the artwork. It's so cool. That is just unbelievable. Look at the hearts. That's so Miyamoto. These little player 1, player 2 icons they used on a lot of the early cocktail machines. These are the little Game & Watch characters I was on about. Looks so Game & Watch to me. And that's a really cool sheriff font there. I love that. And the sheriff badge. Here we've got the little instruction decals going on. There's a little pixelated sheriff, little Jack, shooting away. And here it shows you basically how to play the game. 1. Insert coin. 2. Select 1 or 2 players. 3. Control the sheriff's action using the shift lever. 4. Aim the gun using the pistol switch. 5. Shoot the rogues by pressing the pistol switch. Relief sheriff at 1500. Condor between 100 and 500 points. Rogues outside of the square 30, inside 60. So actually on the early levels you're better off waiting for the rogues or gangs to come into the arena to turn yellow before shooting them on the outside, because when you get your multiplier you're going to get a lot more. So that's it, guys. There's the 2 control panels. Isn't that cool? That's the most beautiful control panel I've ever seen. I'm so proud to have that. And that, once I've finished the control panel, is going to go on there. I've got to do a little bit more work. I've got to get some iron-on veneer to go on here before I put that control panel on. So that's it, guys. That's my the front of the sheriff. And let's do a little bit of gameplay. Right, it's a little beginning of the sheriff scene. You don't see that in any part of the game, him walking across with the horse, which is really cool. Right, let's coin up then and play some sheriff. I'm just going to go to level 3, guys, okay, because I don't have a lot of memory on the phone. And normally how I play, I normally go for the top ones first, so I know I've got my back covered. I don't have to worry about shooting down from the top. Right, now I'm going for the sides. Double the points for the yellow ones. Level 1 done. This little Betty being chased by one of them dodgy Mexicans. Whoa! 500 for that. I think it's because I've done it at an angle. There we go. Level 2 done. So I get past level 3, I get my bonus. You get a lovely little romantic scene. Pretty cool. I don't know if you can see that, there is a slight delay, so up and down. The joystick's down before he's even moved. Now that, I think they had to employ, because of the hardware, it was pretty limited at its time. There's only games like Robotron a bit later on that could do that properly. Oh. Ah. Ah, see, I hope I get past level 3, just for you guys. There we go, level 3 done. And then you get a lovely little romantic scene. Is that cool? Right, that's it guys, that's my Nintendo Sheriff. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will do another gameplay video another time. It's just I've run out of memory on the phone, so that's it for this week. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Nintendo Arcade, over and out.